It's interesting because the two phrases unfortunately get used interchangeably, and they're very related, but they're really not the same thing. So if you think about equality, the root word of equality is equal. And what does equal mean? It means the same. You know, most of us grew up with everybody's created equally. Everybody's equal. You know, if you've got kids and you want to just you want to make life easy for yourself, you know, give every kid a lollipop. Every kid in the house gets one lollipop. It's easy. You don't even have to think about it. You're making it equal. It's fair. That's what we all learned. And there's a role for equality. Equity is making sure that people have what they need to have, what they're supposed to have, what's going to make them better, what's going to get to the ultimate goal of going from survive to thrive. So let me give you an example. Do I have it? And just raise your hand. Any gardeners, any people like gardening out there? I got a couple of hands, few hands. Okay, if you like gardening. So think about this. Think about the garden in your yard. And if you have a flower garden, you could have one flower, one type of flower. So let's say if you had tulips, and I don't know what grows up in Potsdam, but let's say if you had tulips. So if you've got beautiful yellow tulips, I happen to like tulips, beautiful tulips. They are gorgeous, they're blooming, they're perfect. Now, what you might do to have more interest in the garden is to have different color tulips. You might have red and yellow and, you know, a deeper pink or whatever of tulips. So that gives a little more interest. But then if you want to really make it more interesting, you might have different kinds of flowers. So you've got different colored tulips, but then you've got chrysanthemums and daisies and mums and other things. And if you have that, if you know gardening, those flowers bloom at different times. So by having real diversity in the types of flowers and the colors of flowers, you can almost plan to have color in your yard year round. Now I know up in upstate New York, that's not really going to work, but you get the point of where I'm going with that. Here's the analogy. If you gave all of those flowers, if you treated them equally, if you gave them all the same sunlight, all the same nutrients, all the same amount of water, some of them are going to die. A few of them are going to thrive. Some of them are just flat out going to die. And some of them are going to meander along. But if you looked at them as individuals and what they need to thrive, to create the beauty in your garden, and gave them the right amount of nutrient, the right amount of sunlight, the right amount of water, that's the goal. That is equity. It is meeting people where they are and ensuring that you do what you need to do from a leadership standpoint to help them thrive. So that I always find is a good example because you can kind of visualize that and you could see where it would go. The last time I shared that story, someone shared with me, they said, well, don't forget about the flower that shows up that's already withered. The flower that's been through so much that it starts out really withered. And sometimes you really may need to do a little bit extra there. And that's a really good point, particularly as you think about students who may be from marginalized backgrounds or home socioeconomic situations that are not the same as your own.